much.
You are the chairman of the Small Modular Reactor business in nuclear energy for Rolls Royce. Do you see growth opportunities for SMR business in the data center sector?
There are huge growth opportunities, and initially when we formed the Small Modular Reactor business, this was really just going to be power on grid to replace coal-fired, oil-fired, gas-fired power stations with sources of net zero energy. Then we saw other opportunities in the chemical industry, in the production of sustainable fuels, in hydrogen production. But about a year ago, the world seems to have changed, and we were approached by lots of the tech companies and data center providers because the growth in data centers, particularly driven by AI, has now meant that they're of the size where they need their own small modular reactors. And the need is very urgent. We've been at a great conference here today where we've heard the need for 38 gigawatts of energy in the next 5 years just to fuel the AI revolution.
How far ahead will SMRs be ready to deploy?
Our current schedule, and we're going through a regulatory process. So nuclear power stations have to go through a regulator that checks for the safety and integrity of the power source. We're planning on going through that over the next 2 or 3 years, then starting to build our first few and getting first power on grid in about 2030 or 2031.
And any indications on the cost of nuclear energy in comparison to other renewable energies?
Yes, so the cost of a power station, and I'll have to start switching between currencies here, is around about $2.5 billion for a 470 megawatt power station. Now, one of the things about nuclear energy is the running costs of nuclear energy are actually quite low, tens of millions of euros a year, and the cost is dominated by the cost of capital. In other words, how much it costs you to raise that $2.5 billion for each power station. Now, with a decent cost of capital, and decent, I'm talking 4 or 5%, we should be able to produce energy at around about 50 to 60 euros a megawatt hour. I'm sorry to switch between dollars and euros. But at that price point, if you include the cost of energy storage, then I think we're going to be undercutting wind. It's true that wind without energy storage can get cheaper than that. But in a real world situation, powering a data center where you need 24/7 energy with 5 nines reliability, you're going to have energy storage if you're using wind as the energy source.
Well, if we're going to meet here in a year's time, what would the story be then?
In a year's time, I think the business would hope to have a far closer relationship with the big data center operators, the big tech companies. I think we can lead them on a path that will mean we can guarantee to get to net zero with a far earlier date than we could if simply they were hoping that the market will provide the electricity at net zero. So really it's about cooperation, it's about partnership, and it's about the energy industry and the data center industry coming together because they need to.